Isaac,
Hey,
good to have you here.
it is good to be here. Things are not going great in the network, but it is good to be here to talk about it.
For sure. So I guess we could wait for one more minute and then we could start. Right. So, hello everyone. Welcome. My name is Daniel, and today we are here in our weekly community meeting, and I am happy to be the host of the session for today. As a reminder, as always, our call is recorded, so please keep it in mind and act accordingly if necessary. So today is yet another special meeting because, as many of you have noticed, either from interacting with the CARP application or reading the announcement channel, our network is halted at the moment, and we will discuss everything we know about it today with you. And of course, we will be happy to answer your questions as well. So first thing first, as usual, we first go through our working groups activities in the past week, and after that we can discuss the network halt as well. So I would like to start with Comstock and later on with Rico, and to give us a report of their working groups.
Sounds good. Thanks, Daniel. Cool. So I just want to give a quick update on the Hustle Karma working group. To be honest, it was a really short meeting. Not too much extra going on from this week. Two things to note is, well, actually, I don't know if I should jump in for there's the constitution that Rico has written. So I believe in the Hustle Karma group we just mentioned. Whoever wants to take a look at that, if you have any input, now would be a good time. But it was really just a continuation on people trying to get some work payments done. Nothing too happening this week. We do want to put a shout out though, if anybody wants to come and learn about the Hustle Karma working group, anyone's invited to come. And you can always just jump to the Discord and say hi. Again, the Hustle Karma group is essentially about all the brokers coming together to talk about how we can use payments to incentivize labor so that we can build better, faster. And so, it's an open invite.
Sweet. Thanks so much. Yes, if anyone is interested in contributing to the project, the Hustle Karma working group is the place to show yourself. So let us know. Rico, let us know what's going on with other working groups.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Christian wasn't able to join us this morning, and so he asked me to cover for him for the governance working group. Last week at the governance working group, we had our second round of discussions about the set of three interim governance proposals that are being debated at the moment. One of those is a constitution, a second one is a change to governance protocol, and a third sets up a steering council which helps provide sort of a high-level, long-term vision for the project and helps with roadmap and coordination across the project. It is not a radical change from the sort of MVP governance that we have now, and it's really sort of an evolution of governance processes that hopefully gets us a step closer to having eventual on-chain community governance. So it's an interesting discussion if anyone's interested in joining in. All three of the documents or proposals that I just mentioned are surfaced in the governance working group if anyone wants to take a look at them. And of course, the governance working group meets every Thursday, and we will be meeting again this Thursday to go through those docs as well. That's really our focus right now. Secondarily, there's also some research going on being led by Shashank about a digital ID protocol for OL. The governance working group has been tackling that, given that ID is really sort of atomic to a lot of the things that happen and fundamental to a credible voting system. We've been leaning towards the W3C DID implementation, so if anyone's familiar with that and you want to get involved, again, reach out to the governance working group. We will at some time fairly soon be chunking that task and putting it into Hustle Karma and putting some bounties against it as well, so there will be some opportunities there to do some dev work related to governance. And it looks like, Daniel, do you also want me to cover any of the other working groups, branding and comms, for example, or did you have something else in mind for me aside from just governance?
Oh, that would be excellent if you can do that.
Yeah, okay, no problem. The branding and comms group last week, unfortunately, I did not make the meeting. I had a conflict, so I'm working off somebody else's notes. It looks like the group has landed the two ideas for the primary project logo identity, which we will be putting out to the community for a vote. So the community will have the option to select between the two of them. And of course, if we do need some additional revisions, I'm sure that can be arranged as well. Elliot, whose handle is ET in the community, has really done great work there, and a real shout out to Elliot for being really flexible and coming up with some great ideas and doing really professional work for us. So that's been super, super helpful. And that's the highlights of those two working groups. If you need me for anything else, Daniel, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go back on mute.
Super. Thank you so much, Rico. Io, let us hear about the coordinators working group.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dania. So on the coordinators working group, we had a meeting last Friday. So we meet every other Friday. And this working group is really a working group made up of all the coordinators of all the other working groups. So when we had met previously, we definitely had votes whereby we elected Zaki as a coordinator, and then Alex B as the archivist, and myself as the broker. And when we met last week, we discussed a couple of items, and one of them was definitely the fact that there's some conversation ongoing about whether to merge the coordinators working group into a steering committee. That is still ongoing, and I think, Vico, maybe you may have more information about that. And the other item that we discussed was around our need in the community for a recruiter. We've been having this conversation for a few weeks now, and we're really looking for someone within the community that can assist us with definitely attracting the developer skill sets. Actually, to start with the developer skill sets that we need within the community to continue to grow OL or within other cryptocurrency developer communities. So we have a position description that we've put together, and we are looking to share that with the entire community to see if anyone on this call, or if you are interested, or if there's someone else that you know that might be a good fit. Definitely, we're looking for someone that can bring together developers and create excitement about our project. And during that meeting, we also determined the compensation for this role, which would be, I believe we agreed at 50,000 units per month, and for a 3-month cycle with no term limit. So we'll be circulating that position description within the announcements channel and a few other channels. So please, if you're interested or if you know someone, please let us know and we can have a conversation around that. So that is it from the coordinators working group. Rico or Dania, did I miss anything? Please feel free to chime in if I may have left anything out.
No, that's great. And that mention that you made about merging the coordinators working group into the steering council that's under discussion in governance working group, that's correct. And that's actually part of how that proposal talks about streamlining our process, that basically the responsibilities of the coordinators working group will be merged into that steering council. It would also have some additional responsibilities. But again, that's all laid out in the proposal documents that you can find in the governance working group channel on Discord if anyone's interested. But yeah, otherwise the big news coming out of the coordinators group was looking for that recruiting manager, which is kind of a critical hire for us. Thanks, Io.
I agree.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Io and Rico. So it's time for us to discuss what happened with our network on Saturday. Unfortunately, we were a bit unlucky that it happened on the weekend, and some of our validators and engineers naturally could not look into it sooner. But we are lucky to have Zaki and Odin here together, and also Shashank with us as our engineers and researchers in the project. I would like to start with Zaki and Odi to tell us about what happened and what are our plans to solve the issue.
Hi.
Okay, let me.
Sorry, I wasn't able to come back and bring it to you because I
kinda
was
dive into
having to
this.
speak and record the meeting. But I think I'm done, so
I
it's
mean,
great.
I don't have to go first if Odie wants to go first.
Oh, I was under the weather most of the weekend, so I didn't actually follow.
Okay.
Started.
I mean, my understanding of the situation is we don't know the root cause of why the validator network destabilized. Like the reality of the situation is like we have seen at various points in this project, the validator network destabilize, validators not being able to like connect to each other, not be able to produce blocks. Now, part of this is like, I don't view this as the real problem. Like this is not software that has been run in a decentralized production setting before, and we know it has issues, right? We know going into this that the DM software was not really built for the environment in which we were running in it, and like we keep finding like issues with it. The real challenge with the current situation is that when the network became unstable and the validators set became unstable and people were having trouble submitting proofs, their tower nodes would fail and like go offline, rather than what was the expected design. The expected design of the system was in the event that an epoch change happens and less than 4 validators have submitted enough proofs to go into the next epoch, the intended design of the system is that the validator set should be stable and no one should be removed from the validator set. And the desire of this design was that it now gives you time to like figure out and debug the system and figure out why the network is unstable, why the validator set is not working. Instead, what we've ended up with, this code did not work as intended, and instead it added everyone who has ever been a validator on OL to the validator set for the epoch. And this puts the network into a very difficult to recover state. which is what we're currently in, where every node that has ever been a validator, we knew it'd need 2/3 plus one, and really probably significantly more than that, to get a working network up. We are not stable right around threshold number of validators. So now I would say that essentially we have a network that is very unlikely to be recovered in its current state. Like there is unlikely to be enough validators who come online that cause the network to function normally. And so this is the current state of affairs. Now we have a question of like, what is it that can be done? How do we resurrect the OL network from its current state? How do we fix this bug? But like that's a separate question for how do we resurrect the network. So last summer, we worked with some interns on some code to do disaster recovery, but that code has not been ever really tested or deployed in scale. And that is kind of our baseline starting point for like what it is that we could do to revive the network is use that code to dump all of the account state out of the network, get everyone's balances into a new network and start up that new network. There is some probability that like we could keep retrying and like potentially get enough validators online to resurrect the network in its current state. But I don't think that's likely to succeed and produce a network that is like stable enough to get back to a steady state and like do an upgrade to resolve the epoch change issue. But you know, the probability of that is not zero, but it is definitely low. So now we're really in this state of trying to organize an engineering effort to resurrect the network. We don't know how long that will take, and there is I would say that is my overview of the current state of affairs.
Thank you so much, Zaki. So perhaps, Odie, can you tell us about the new solution that you found? I think you shared something with us yesterday that sounds really promising.
Yeah, a very, very early analysis. So yeah, thanks, Zaki. I mean, that's a really good. I just like hearing how you describe these networks, and I think that captures it perfectly. We're in this situation now where I see we have plan A, B, and C. Plan A is keep trying to get synchronous restarts. So get, the 100 node operators to show up at a call at the same time and do the right thing. It's proven hard to get the kinds of validators we have today, sort of the people involved to be able to do that. The plan B that I have been looking at is trying to do a write set, as it's called. So just like a manual override on a specific piece of the state. So it's like flashing memory, if you want to think of it that way. So just like write a transaction manually that would change the validator set on the current state. So basically, you're just manually applying a transaction. And then you could pick 10 validators or whatever number. And then everybody applies a transaction to change the validator set and run that on a private network. So I think that's plan B, and that's sort of least invasive. And I've been talking to people from DM to figure out what tools exist for that. And I think I found an undocumented way, and I was debugging it and still looking at it. So spent the day yesterday on that. And then plan C is, I think what Zaki's describing is a real state dump where, and I would call this the scorched earth approach, because we have a tool that we've built for this. And I spent a little bit of time on Sunday and yesterday looking at it, and I've made it compile, and I've made it run. I made it produce a new Genesis. I don't have a good way of inspecting what's in it, but it looks like you can take all the accounts restore the balances, take all the validators, take all the accounts, so Carpe users, restore balances, restore tower state, take all the validators, restore balances, tower state, and validator information. What it won't do is take application state. We don't have applications on the network, as far as I know. But really, that's a brand new network, effectively. So you're just taking it's a hard fork. So you're just scooping information you want from the old state and creating a new genesis and starting over. So that's plan A, B, and C. I might stop here for questions if anybody wants to go in a different direction.
Okay, that's really interesting. And that's really nice to hear that we have at least 3 options that we could investigate and resurrect our network. So what's the likelihood of these ways to succeed?
I mean, all of these things are possible. So none of this is science fiction. Plan A is a social coordination effort, as identifying people and having them show up at the same time. We need probably better ways of doing that than what we have been doing, which is sort of best efforts based way. So like actually having a way of reaching people, registry of people, and so plan A, we could develop some more tools and processes around that. Plan B, I'm right now optimistic. I haven't spent any time on it today yet. I haven't done it end to end, but I feel like I understand the tools well enough now. As a side note, it's kind of interesting. I've been looking at this code for like 3 years in DM, and people at DM will then Meta will point out something to me that I've never seen in the code before. So I found out this little tool, right set generator, that will actually produce a little binary that you can use with another tool to, apply a Genesis transaction, and you can use that with the backup. So it's interesting, but it's a bunch of these tools that have never been used together that have to be tested. And realistically, I think what would happen is I would be able to produce a snapshot of a recovered state. So what I mean is, like, right now we're in epoch 167 with 100 validators. I could sort of effectively in a laboratory create a epoch 167 with just 10 validators in there, create a snapshot, save that to GitHub, and then have those same 10 validators start up nodes based on that snapshot. Where I would need help with that is I need someone who is, I'm not a sysadmin, so I need someone that could figure out how to create a private network for those 10 validators that don't change many of the configs. So meaning not changing any ports, because once we start dealing with on-chain discovery and peer discovery, it can get very messy. So that's an effort I would need, and today, preferably. So that's plan B. I'm not giving you really a probability of this working, but I feel like, that's up to the, that's kind of black magic. I mean, there's a lot of black magic and corner cases in these DM tools. So, just roll the dice if it's going to work. And then plan C, I think, will work. I can get a Genesis. I'm not exactly sure what's in it, but we can easily look into what's easily. I mean, we have tools that we can inspect the Genesis, we can start it up. So there's a little bit of work there, maybe a day's worth of work to, provide a file that says, hey, I want these validators in the new Genesis. Excuse me, I have to deal with I have to cough.
That was really interesting. Thanks so much, Rudy. And I think for the first case, even though it's very unlikely, perhaps would be nice that we put all of our efforts together and perhaps give it one more try and try to get all the validators as much as we could to gather around and try to resurrect the network. I think that would be really nice and something that perhaps we can achieve it. At least I think it would be nice to give it a shot. Meanwhile, yeah, Shank?
Just a quick question. Is it possible that we can make changes to the more standard library right now, or will those votes require the network to be live and running?
I mean, you can apply any write set you want with the tools that either that we've built or that DM provides. But I think that's an incredible risk to take, with all the changes, Meaning, there's engineering risk. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to get these solutions to work, and then to actually apply a standard library change, and then also have the solutions to work. But I like how you think. That is something I've thought about. It would be nice if we could just change those parameters at once. I will say one more thing just before you guys want to move on with the conversation. There is one other thing that we would need, I think, for Plan A and B, which involves social coordination, is we need a way of picking who those validators are going to be that are going to effectively lead to the hard fork. There's been conversation about having a scorecard or something. I think we would need to have a proto scorecard in the next 24, 48 hours for that. Just a proposal.
Thank you so much, Odi and Shashank. Well, I would like to also hear Zaki and perhaps Rico, if you also have opinions in this matters. Please let us know. Which way should we go moving forward? I personally think that trying to coordinate a social effort one more time is worth the effort at least. Meanwhile, that we are investigating other engineering solutions.
Yeah, Daniel, I tend to agree with you. I think that, if we are able to convene the group and get it started in that fashion, that's the least intrusive solution. Unfortunately, it's proven to be the least practical solution or least pragmatic solution, if you prefer, just because of the amount of coordination that's required to get everybody in the room. I mean, we had a significant number of nodes under our control at one point on Monday, and we still weren't able to pull it off. And so we need really all hands on deck for that to happen. I can't emphasize that enough. As far as the other options go, I defer to the engineering team on this. I trust those guys. They're making good decisions. I don't have the expertise to second guess them.
Awesome. All right. So our members in the call, if you have any question, please feel free to raise your hand, and we are happy to answer your questions.
In the absence of a question from the crowd, I know I'll ask the question that I've had a couple people ask me. Are the coins safe?
The coins are safe. We have all the state. Nothing's lost.
That's great. Awesome. All right. So one last note. I really would like to appreciate all the work that has been done the past few days by our engineers, Odi, Shashank, Zaki, Sam, and our validators who were active in this matter. And especially our Carpe users for being so patient with us and asking the right questions all the time. I will try to give you guys more updates about the state of the network as we go in the announcement channel. But if you are also interested to hear news more quickly, you could always follow the validators channels, because all of our conversations always happen in there, and it's open to everyone to contribute or listen in to see what's going on. Perhaps something to mention is that usually successful and high-value projects will show their true tenacity under challenging circumstances, and I guess this is one of them that you could use to analyze how well we do in this project. But at the same time, I would like to remind everyone that this project is a collective work. Many of us in the project don't know each other at all, but we all have a shared vision that brought us all together, and we are happy that you are part of it as well. We will continue moving forward with what we have started, regardless of our issues. Of course, it is crucial that we learn from these situations, think more deeply about them, and also prepare ourselves better for future, which is also something we could do together. Before I end the call, I also like to give the chance to our panelists if they have final notes, and perhaps if they have some notes also about what should we do moving forward, and how can we mitigate this situation better, given the fact that I'm pretty sure we will succeed in this challenge as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if we can probably use some time to ask you questions about engineering and try to figure some things out, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, I wanted to know if we have enough quorum right now, and the network starts, would it again go to a new epoch with 100 validators immediately? Maybe question for OD.
Probably. It depends on the time. I don't know when the epoch boundary is happening. I think around 6 p.m. Eastern. I actually don't know if we missed one of the epoch boundaries. So
yeah, we did miss one of the epoch boundary. So would it jump 2 epochs or like just 1 epoch?
It would just jump once.
And is it possible that we can start as asynchronous vote on the standard library to reduce or to fix the issue on validator set, and maybe use that to reduce the validator set size according to the specifications, and would that help?
What you're suggesting is doing, just high level for everyone, plan B is to apply a transaction onto a database at rest. So node is off, database is at rest, apply a transaction onto. You can apply any kind of transaction you want, but there are some that are already, some are straightforward and are sort of planned and have sort of scripts and tools around them. Others don't exist. So one that exists, that I wrote yesterday, is to bulk change the validators. So you apply one command to the database, and then it will insert, let's say, 10 validators in place of the validator set that's there. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen once you change the validator set. It's not as simple as just updating a field in an equivalent of a spreadsheet. You need to restart a bunch of things. You need to invalidate caches and things like this. So it's a bunch of things that need to happen. But DM has a. We learned about that yesterday. You would have to do the same thing for the. You could apply a transaction which is overwriting the state, the state machine, so the standard library code. This is, for more technical people here in the audience, this is what's really interesting about the DM architecture, is that the state machine rules exist in the database as a database field, if you want to think of it that way. They're not written in the protocol language in Rust external to the VM. So a lot of the consensus critical stuff that we have is actually just a field in the database, code in the database. So we could do that. What Shashank's saying can be done. I think you're going to need to do both of those things. You're going to need to do what you're suggesting, Shah, is you'd have to apply the state, do a transaction where you overwrote the state machine,
Okay.
and then you're going to apply another transaction on top of that, which is to change the validators. So those, I mean, we're already dealing with a bunch of corner cases here with just tools that weren't made to work with each other. And then, theoretically, I could see how that would work. Let's see how we go with just getting the validator set transaction, the bulk update, the validator set transaction before sort of introducing that stuff. But yes, it can be done. You can get set up to sit in front of the make that work as well.
Can you get ready to shoot my dog?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks. That really helps.
Awesome. So one last chance to our community members. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. All right. I would like to thank everyone for their time. And I hope you have a great day and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Daniel. Bye-bye, everybody.
See everyone.